Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, the show that helps you sort through all of the trends, new and old, of the fitness world. We'll talk about yoga, running, Zumba, weightlifting, and everything in between. Whether you've got your fitness routine down to a science or you're just starting out and looking for direction, you'll find educational and entertaining information on the GSMC Fitness Podcast. Welcome to the GSMC Fitness Podcast. I'm your host, Alexandra. Today we're going to be talking about metabolic syndrome, fitness equipment to use, whether at home or at the gym, and different fitness challenges. So the first one, metabolic syndrome. Now, the first time I heard that, I was very confused. I actually heard it on the news a few days ago, and I sat and I listened to their explanation, and I honestly lost my mind. I really lost my mind. Let me tell you why. All right, so after hearing about it on the news and being extremely confused as to how this is a thing that people felt the need to create an actual medical classification for in this way. So I looked it up. Now, just to make it simple, I'm going to be reading from Mayo Clinic just to give you an idea. So this is the general definition. A cluster of conditions that increase the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. Okay, that's kind of vague, right? But it goes into more detail. It includes high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess body fat around the waist, and abnormal cholesterol levels. The syndrome increases a person's risk for heart attack and stroke. So the idea is, they say that if you have 3 or more of these conditions in this list, then you have metabolic syndrome. Oh. Now, obviously, it's important to be aware of these things in your body, but I gotta say, giving it an actual syndrome, that's a new one. My understanding is that it's a way of saying that your metabolism is slow. And there are natural ways to speed it up, which I have talked about previously. So I'm a little confused by this one. Let's go over some symptoms. So, aside from a large waist circumference, which that one is very strange to me, most of the disorders associated with metabolic syndrome have no symptoms. Are you kidding me? A medical disorder with no symptoms? I'm sorry, that's a little, obviously, there's certain things that don't have symptoms and you can be tested for them. But this, okay, let me just continue. All right, underneath it says, may experience obesity or overweight, also common diabetes, high blood pressure, or potbelly. Those all can definitely be related to each other. Treatments. Now listen to the treatments. This is what really killed me. Weight loss, exercise, a healthy diet, and smoking cessation can help. Medications may also be prescribed. Shocking! I know! All of those things can actually help your metabolism and your blood pressure and cholesterol and your, I guess according to them, waist size. It's shocking that a healthy diet and exercise and not smoking help with those, huh? And then they also have a list of specialists that can help, which is also very shocking, let me tell you. Your primary care provider, your cardiologist, I guess you'd have to get an endocrinologist, and a nutritionist. All of those are shocking, as I've said. Now, maybe classifications help some people. Maybe it's easier to understand all the health aspects and health difficulties some people might be going through, and putting it under a classification can make it easier to get through and overcome it and be healthier. However, what really kills me is it says here that treatment can help, but this condition can't be cured, and it requires a medical diagnosis. It's chronic. It can last for years or be lifelong. Lab tests or imaging always required? What? I'm sorry. This is one of those things that's very confusing to me. I think from a mental health standpoint, if having this classification helps you get better, by all means, I'm for it. Use it. Say you have metabolic syndrome if that's what your doctor diagnoses you with. But if I ever got a diagnosis like this, I would laugh and just tell them, just tell me that I need better health habits and tell me to work out and eat healthier. That's it. Like, that's all it requires. So, it's just, the biggest thing about this syndrome that's strange to me is the large waist circumference. That's apparently a big part of it. If you have a waist circumference above, what are the measurements? I don't remember what the measurements are, but there's a waist circumference above a certain amount for men and above a certain amount for women. And if you have that, plus 2 of one of the other symptoms, then you have metabolic syndrome. Since when does waist circumference, also not taking into account height, how is that valid? Since when does that make any logical sense whatsoever? To me, this kind of creation, diagnosis, whatever you want to call it, it's an excuse, it's a block, it's a way to, I don't know what it is. I don't see positives. If someone sees benefits from this because it helps them mentally, cool. Otherwise, I don't see how this is beneficial. If someone has high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess fat around the waist, which is extremely subjective and depends on each individual, and they may have conditions or they may be at a certain age where they get more fat around the waist, all of those are things to take into consideration. And it's not even like, to me, these aren't real symptoms that indicate a specific disease or problem. All of these symptoms are just general, not the healthiest person, or simply certain things like blood pressure or whatever. Those can also be affected by genetics. So, but regardless of health or genetics, you can help to improve them, if not completely fix all of these things, by just getting into a healthy fitness routine. So I just had to share this because I just thought it was the strangest thing that, one of the strangest things that has come out, regarding fitness and health. Metabolic syndrome. That is just so strange to me. Very strange. If you're interested, look it up, but I feel like I gave it a pretty decent summary. Let me know what you guys think. Tell me on Twitter, Facebook, what do you guys think of this kind of syndrome? Do you think it's a good thing? Well, you clearly understand my opinion, but is anyone for this type of thing? Do you think coming up with diagnoses like these are helpful or harmful, because it literally says this condition can't be cured. Since when can't trying to be healthier cure not being healthy? Anyway, let me know what you guys think. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk about BMI.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Welcome back. Earlier we heard about something I think is very strange called metabolic syndrome. And now let's talk about BMI. So, according to the NIH, your BMI should be 18.5 to 24.9. Yeah, 18.5 to 24.9. Now, these numbers, I don't really know how they came up with these numbers, what they're supposed to mean, if it's just like a random measurement. So I don't really know, like hearing those numbers doesn't mean anything on their own. But what's interesting to me about the BMI is it's based purely on height and weight. I mean, that's not a bad starting point because height and weight do have to do with each other. I think keeping within a certain range can be an indicator of health for most people, if not all. It's a good place to start, but it's not really a full indicator of health. There's so much more that goes into health besides height and weight. I've heard claims that the BMI is good for, tracking your fat ratio, and not exactly true, because all it takes into account is height and weight, not really where the weight is coming from, where it's distributed on your body, which again is different for different people. And it also doesn't take into account bone density, which everyone's different with bone density. Obviously, there's certain things to help improve bone density, but again, each person is different. Then there's also age you have to consider. Obviously, children are different. Children are growing, but within adults, it's going to be different. I mean, as we age, we are more likely to more easily get a higher fat ratio. That's just the way our bodies work. In general, the fat to muscle ratio, that can definitely affect weight. Any medical conditions, there are absolutely medical conditions that can affect weight. And then people's strength versus cardio abilities, these certain health indicators cannot be measured with the BMI scale. So I don't really see how the BMI is still considered, because I've heard there are so many people who have critiqued it, so I don't really see how it's still something that a lot of people still talk about and consider super, super important. I mean, I don't think it's wrong to consider height and weight. Obviously, those things are important together, but there's just so many other factors to consider. Just thinking about it on a personal level, like, I'm within the range. My whole life, except once. I don't remember how old I was. I was pretty young, and I went to my pediatrician, and he said I'm like barely below the BMI range, but he was like, you're fine. Because I was actually fully healthy, full energy, happy emotions. There wasn't anything wrong with me, and I was just barely below it. It wasn't like dangerously below, so he wasn't worried whatsoever, but he was just letting me know like that's where I stood. And now I'm within it, but just thinking of the ways I've fluctuated my physical fitness level over the years, I don't know. Like, for example, okay, six months ago, maybe a little more than that. No, maybe a little, I don't know. Roughly 6 months ago, I was healthy. I was. However, I was transitioning into a different phase of my life, so I wasn't able to keep up all the fitness things. Mentally, it wasn't working. Time-wise, it wasn't working. I was in the process of finishing my time living in another country and moving back home, and I'd been there for so long. It was just a big transition in my life. So there was a lot going on, and I wasn't at my most fit. Even though right before that, I was probably at my most fit I ever was in my entire life. But anyway, I wanted to return back to my healthiest form. I was still happy. I wasn't what would be classified as obese or anything like that, but I still wanted to be even healthier. I wanted to go back to that. And I probably still would have been classified within the proper BMI range. I didn't actually calculate it or anything because I don't weigh myself. I weigh myself when I go to the doctor, and then I immediately forget what they said. So I wouldn't be able to check now either. But my point is that with BMIs, there are different stages of your life and different health levels of your life that can still be classified within the healthy BMI range. Something else that's interesting too is people's interpretations of health. Obviously, every society is affected by beauty standards. In general, we have similar influences just because of Hollywood and generally similar media being spread throughout the world. However, things are different in different places. And where I was living, despite my feeling like I wanted to get healthier, and I knew I was healthy and everything, and I was confident, but I still wanted to get healthier. Despite all of those feelings, I had friends that would consistently call me thin. Oh, I'm so skinny. Oh, I'm so thin. And then they would say that, oh, they're so fat. They're so overweight. They're so this. They're so that. And it kind of made me uncomfortable. And I tried to be as encouraging as possible, but with different standards in different places or different ideas about what healthy looks like, it's kind of hard to have that conversation over cultural barriers sometimes. But that really affected me mentally too, because I started calculating in my mind. I started wondering, well, what actually does it mean to be healthy? And there are certain vanity points that can indicate health, but that's not the end of it either. So I think considering BMI is an okay place to start. If you really need a direction to go in, start with getting within that range if you want, but it's not the end. There are other things to consider. It's not something to stress about. All right, we're going to take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about home equipment for working out.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. Earlier we talked a little bit about BMI, that whole scale and classification. Now let's talk about home equipment for working out. There are lots of different things you could get to work out at home if traveling to the gym is difficult, or if you simply want to just move everything home because you think it would be better for you. Obviously, there are the bigger machines that can be great, like treadmills or stationary bikes. Those are especially really good if you're more in the city, and it can be harder sometimes to find safe places to bike or go for a run. Just depends on where you live. So those are definitely good options. There are also simpler things though, like jump ropes. Those are definitely great. Dumbbells, simple weights like dumbbells. Even low ones are fine. Nothing too heavy. Those are good for resistance. I personally use my body more than anything, but I do have 5-pound weights. I know it's nothing, but I start low. I start simple, and right now I'm using body weight more anyway. It's more resistance, and I'm building up more strength. So body's better right now for me than 5-pound dumbbells. Not to say they're not useful. I do still use them occasionally. If you want something heavier for strength, obviously heavier weights. Depends on your level or what kind of workout you're doing. Resistance bands are super popular ones that are honestly great for there are different kinds of things you can use for resistance, but resistance bands obviously great for your legs, your arms. I believe you can use them for your core too. I've never used them. I've always done similar exercises that cause resistance, but I kind of want to try them. I never use tools because I don't care. I'm more, a little more simple, but I do want to try them at some point. Now, these are all things you have to buy. If you're not about buying anything, even a simple resistance band, I say you don't have to. I mean, I have weights that are hand-me-downs from when my brother and I were younger, and he was starting out small because he was small. So they're basically just hand-me-down weights. I didn't even get them myself because I'm not a tools person. But if you want to use tools, lots of options. Chairs or stools are really great to use. I don't have a stool, but I really want one because the stairs in my house I guess I could use the stairs outside if the weather's nice. But stools are nice because they're portable, so you can put them wherever. And I really love those stepping exercises. So good. Get that cardio, build those legs up, burn fat. It's such a good workout, and it's simple, and I can do it at the pace of music. I don't know why. It's just really simple, but I like it. And then stairs, obviously, it's similar to the stool. With stairs, you can use them like a stool, or you can go up and down them. Just, be careful, pace yourself. If you're not used to it, it may be too intense for your heart, so just take your time. Walk up the stairs, lightly jog, take a break when you need it. Push yourself, not too hard. That's what I believe in by now. Obviously, the wall is a great one. I'll use a wall, or my furniture more for balance, but the wall is good for resistance and strength. There are lots of different things you can do. And one that I have never heard of before is using a towel as a resistance band. I really don't get it. Towels aren't stretchy. I mean, kind of. But the resistance band, they have a stretch to them, but they're just really strong. So there's your resistance. With a towel, you just can't. I mean, obviously there's resistance there, but because you can't stretch them. I don't know. I'm just trying to talk it out right now, trying to understand it, because I don't understand how that would work. I guess there are certain things you could do regarding pulling, but it would have to be a pretty big towel if you wanted to use it on your thighs, for example. I'm not familiar with that one. If you're interested in that, look it up. It could be useful. It could be an easy way to get that resistance training by not buying yourself a resistance band. So all of these are definitely great options. Only thing I feel like, is a stool. Because I don't have a stool in the house. And I could use the stairs. Okay, we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we will talk about the gym and how to save time at the gym.
The GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back. Earlier we talked about home equipment to help you on your fitness journeys. Now let's talk about the gym. Specifically, let's talk about saving time at the gym, because I know that's a big reason why most people don't go to the gym. It's a small factor in my reasoning, but it is definitely in there as part of the reasoning why I don't like to go to the gym. I think the number one thing about going somewhere to work out is you need to have a specific plan. Even if the plan is experimenting. Plan your testing equipment days. You need to plan them. Because even if you're just trying things out, you want to save that time. There are lots of things to consider. You need to consider your travel time, your warm-up, the actual exercises with rest times, your cool down, your shower, and your travel. And regardless of which is first, if you shower at the gym or you shower at home, you need to include the shower part in there. And you need to include the minimal socializing. If you expect to possibly socialize, even if it's for 5 minutes, include that 5 minutes, because the 5 minutes could be the difference of you hitting traffic and then being discouraged of ever going to the gym again. So, include it. And even include a buffer. If you're someone who tends to be a little bit late or let things drag on, or you like to socialize, include a 5 to 15, 20 minute time buffer, because you don't know what may happen, or depending on where you live, traffic, right? So include a buffer you think will be necessary, and then plan your workout within that time. So with that, you're going to have to make your workout worth it, because if you have to cut down on your actual time at the gym, that doesn't mean it's not worth it. That simply means you're going to have to adjust. All you need to do is focus on a few exercises. Don't include everything in one go. Now, I'm a different case, I know, but I have a busy but flexible lifestyle in this moment. I know a lot of people don't. A lot of people have 9 to 5s, or they have that, but at a different time in the day. So, make it work. Make it work. Do a few exercises. Split things up like we talked about before. Do arms and chest one day. Do legs and glutes another day. Focus. Do cardio a different day. Whatever it is, organize your time. You've got to organize your time to make it easier on yourself. The other thing is, have a time limit. If you know you have to go to the gym, do everything, and be back from the gym by a specific time, you have got to have that time limit down pat in place. Make it specific. What is your max limit? Include a buffer in there if you need it. Schedule your things around that time frame, even if it's small. You can still get stuff done. But have a time limit. And if you need to help you keep track, to make sure you're keeping on track with all the workouts, put a few alarms in your phone. Don't be obnoxious and annoy everyone in the gym. If you need to wear headphones, wear headphones. Or if you need to put the alarm on vibrate, whatever it is, do that. I'd say maybe put an alarm halfway, give you a halfway reminder, and then give you 5-minute warning time to when you have to leave. Or if you want to have the alarm at the end, that's fine too. I say that's dangerous. Give yourself a 5-minute warning maybe. And that should help you keep track of everything, keep track of where you're going with your workout and your time frame. Another thing that's important to keep in mind is be ready to not be able to use the equipment that you plan to use. Because, the gym is a rented space that everyone gets to share. So, other people are going to be using stuff that you want to use. So, it's like being in preschool. You got to be patient. You got to be respectful. You got to wait your turn. And that could cut into your time. So have a backup plan. If you want to use a treadmill, but they're all full, gotta have a backup plan. You gotta do something else. If you can't do cardio in the gym because everything is full, do strength. Have that backup. Do something temporarily. Even if you're waiting for someone you know they'll be done soon, you asked, or they told you they'll be done soon, just go lift a few weights or whatever while you're waiting, or do something. Don't just stand there. Get what you paid for out of the gym while you're there, even if your plan has to change slightly. Just make sure you're continuously making progress and not making excuses. That's the important thing. No excuses. You're not allowed to make excuses. Just don't do that. Something else actually that's even great to consider is Add an errand to your ride home. Think of something that you need to do that's on the way back home from the gym and include that in the schedule, and that can help cut out some time and make going to the gym a little more worth it. Do not put the errand before going to the gym, because if you spend too long on that errand, you're going to cut into your gym time. I know how that works. You're going to make an excuse and you're going to say, "Oh, it's too late now. I can't go." But if you schedule it after the gym, you definitely will still be home in time, because whatever you have to do at home is more important to you than the gym. You can't think that way. The gym is as much of a priority as everything else in your life. You have to make it a priority. If you start making excuses and cutting into that time, that's no good. You're not going to make progress. You want to make consistent progress, so you got to be consistent. You got to find the ways to put in the time. So schedule it, plan it. Make it strict. Give yourself reminders. Be specific and give yourself a buffer. Buffers are super helpful. So make sure you do that. Let's take another break. When we come back, we're going to talk about fitness challenges.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome back. Earlier we talked about saving time at the gym and having a plan and making the most of your time there and getting in that good workout. Well, you could get in a good workout by doing a fitness challenge. There are all kinds of fitness challenges out there, but this isn't really a fitness challenge, but it involves a certain amount of fitness, strength and flexibility, I'd say. It's called the Flex Challenge. Have you guys heard of it? It's basically you lay on your stomach on the floor, you put your hands behind your back, you can grab your arms and hold them there, and you have to get up without rolling onto your back or your side for leverage. So the person that started this challenge is this college gymnast, and how she got up was she did a split. So she brought her legs out behind her, around her sides, to the front, and rolled up like that. So obviously if you can't do a split, don't do it that way. But I saw a few other people do it, and they basically had to push up with their toes and crawl up with their knees, without rocking on your side. When they were finally able to get their knees to a certain point, they were able to leverage their front up. But there were actually people who are fit, mind you, that couldn't do it. And that was interesting to me. So it requires strength, but also not. So there are all kinds of strange challenges you could do for fun. But then there are the normal challenges. There are a lot of squatting challenges that I've seen before. But in general, fitness challenges, they're usually 7 to 30 days. I mean, start small. I'm always encouraging people to start small. I think that's important. But I feel like the 7-day challenges are nothing. I feel like the 7-day challenge should be a part of a bigger challenge. Like, that's a milestone to a bigger challenge. Awesome, you did this for 7 days. Can you do it for another 7 days? Because while it is great if you can do something consistently for a whole week, what happens when that week ends? That's it. The challenge is over. Are you done? No more fitness for you? Like, you know what I mean? So I feel like 30 days is a little bit more reasonable, at least with these challenges, because they do say it takes 30 days to make a habit. So I say go for 30 days. Don't be afraid of doing a longer challenge. Just if you need to break it up into 7 days and have those be milestones, do that. Or get a 7-day challenge and repeat it. Make it your own full challenge, so that way it can become a habit. But honestly, I feel like unless the challenge itself is motivating for you, it's kind of not worth it. It might make you hate working out. I feel like instead of doing general fitness, just pick something you enjoy. I know a lot of people that don't necessarily enjoy the process of working out, but they just enjoy that there's a challenge there. They enjoy that challenge, the struggle, the hard work. That's what they like. That's what's fun. And I completely understand that mindset. But not everyone has that. So if you don't have that, why do you have to torture yourself? Just don't do that. Find a different challenge. Pick something you enjoy. Like, I don't know, every weekend, go hiking. Even if it's a little hike. And increase the intensity of the hike each time. Or maybe not each time. Every 2 weeks or every month or something. Increase the intensity of the hike. Whatever it is, organize it like that. Or do something 3 times a week. Like, for example, do 30 squats 3 times a week. That's a lot of squats. If you need to start smaller, but, something like that. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be just 3 times a week. If you want something every day, have an everyday challenge. Just make it something you enjoy. Go rock climbing a few times a week. Go for a walk in your favorite beautiful park every morning. Think of something. What do you enjoy? Personally, I'm going to make a plan for myself right now. I talked about this in the last episode, but I need to actually make it concrete because I haven't yet. I'm going to replace some of my workouts with full dance practice sets 3 times a week. My normal dance lessons were an hour and a half, hour 45, right? So let's say an hour and a half for now, but let's say 1.5. So 1.5 hours, 3 times a week. So let's make a schedule. So I used to go to dance class Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. I had Wednesday and Saturday. No, it was Friday and Saturday, not Thursday. I had Wednesday and Thursday off. Let's say 3 times a week. So let's do Monday. Should I just do Monday, Wednesday, Friday? I kind of want to keep my Wednesdays off. So let's do Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Because see, it's not that I won't be working out in between that. It's that these will be specifically for dance. Yeah? So Monday, Tuesday, Friday, dance. And then Thursday and Saturday, regular workouts. So I'll have those scheduled in, but whatever I end up doing, if I change it mildly, that'll be fine. Cool. I have a schedule. Thanks, guys. Talking to you forced me to create this right now. Now when I'm done talking to you guys, I can actually sit and organize this, make a plan for it. This is good. This is actually good. I enjoy this. Thank you for your help, your encouragement. All right. Since I did that, now you're obligated to sit down right now and make some kind of schedule for yourself. If it's not a full workout routine, give yourself a challenge. Give yourself a specific challenge. Something full body is a good place to start, especially if you're not doing other stuff. So challenge yourself to go for a walk every day. Every single day. Even if it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 5 minutes. Challenge yourself to go for a walk every single day. Pick a time that works best and do it. And with that, let's take another break. When we come back, I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to expand. Let's talk about doing something new, even if you're already in shape, and how that can sometimes be difficult and maybe even a bit discouraging.
Pets bring such joy to our lives, and the GSMC Pets podcast is here to share in that joy. We'll tell stories of pets finding their forever homes, acting in unexpected ways, being helpful, or just being silly. Whether you love dogs, cats, llamas, reptiles, fish, or you've never met an animal you didn't like, the GSMC Pets podcast is for you.
Welcome back. Earlier we talked about fitness challenges, and you guys forced me by, not talking to me at all, to kind of make what I talked about more concrete for what I wanted to do, my plan. So thank you again. Let's talk about doing something new, even if you're fit, and how that can be challenging and how you shouldn't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged. I watched a really cool video earlier today. It was called Hockey Players Try to Keep Up with Figure Skaters. It's on YouTube. I'm sure if you type that in, it'll pop up. So what it was 3 professional hockey players were being taught to do specific figure skating moves by 3 professional figure skaters. So each figure skater would take turns and teach them all one move. And at the end of it, I think they learned like 5-6 moves total. And at the end of it, using all of those moves, they had to do a simple choreography. And it was so, so cool to see because obviously they were all in shape. Every single person there was in great shape. And because it's a similar sport, there are similarities there. The hockey players had the strength to do the moves, and there were certain things that were helpful. They obviously knew a little about balance, at least a little about balance. But then they did fall. Their form wasn't perfect. They couldn't quite get certain places with it, but they caught on quick, but they definitely had some difficulties, and it was so funny. Honestly, it was so funny. It was really cool to see. I really loved seeing their reactions because sometimes they were like, I don't want to do this. And it's an understandable feeling. I mean, watching certain people do things can be intimidating because they look so beautiful and clean, or you can see how talented they are, and you're like, I've never done that before in my life. What am I supposed to do? I totally get that feeling. But they did it, and it was incredible. I mean, I talked before about going to my friend's Pilates class and how difficult that was for me. And so I kind of returned the favor, and I invited her to come to my dance class. And she came to my dance class. Now, granted, let me remind you, she's a Pilates instructor. She's a professional, and she's very toned, very in shape, obviously has perfect form in all of the exercises. Now, coming to my dance class, her form was way off. because this is not to rag on her. This is totally how it always is for anyone doing something new who's used to something else. Her form was off, and it was remnant of Pilates. I mean, it looked like she was ready to do Pilates. That's what her form was matched to. And the only reason I recognize that is because I went to her class and saw what form you're supposed to keep doing those exercises. And that was difficult for me. So seeing her try to adjust to belly dancing was cool. And she said she had fun. And she's a professional and super, super in shape. And you could see that there was a learning curve there. It was really cool. Just thinking back to my start of the dance class, gosh, even before that, if you don't know me in real life, or maybe you don't see me super often, I'm a clumsy person. Now, I have done different sports-related things in my life. I did Taekwondo for many years, and that started in elementary school and went through part of middle school. But then I stopped, became busy, did other things, blah, blah, blah. Then, actually, many years passed, and I started doing dance. Regardless of all of these things, throughout my entire life, I've always been clumsy. Now, I'm not saying it hasn't been improved with the dancing. Obviously, there's certain things that are much improved. But at the start of dance class, oh my God, my teacher would constantly laugh at me because I couldn't spin. I always would add an extra step. I'd get off balance, and it was fine. It wasn't like laughing at you, making fun of you. So calm down. But I was awful at spinning, and it's still not the thing I'm best at, but I improved so much. I have better balance now. Definitely helped a lot, but there was a huge learning curve there, and there are other moves that definitely came more naturally to me, but with everything, there's a learning curve. I mean, just thinking about, there are also exercises that are super difficult. The other day, I started doing these exercises. What are they called? They're a certain kind of crunch. I don't remember what they're called, but they're the ones where you put your hands beside your head. They're the ones where you put your hands beside your head and your elbows are up, and you extend one leg at a time and bend the other, so the opposite elbow goes up to reach the opposite knee. And you go back and forth. So you're kind of working your sides and your abs a little bit, but also the sides. And it requires so much more strength than regular crunches. They're so difficult. They're so difficult that I've never done them in my life, because every time I tried, I was like, oh, it's so difficult. But the other day I was like, no, I'm going to do it. And when I first started doing them, I couldn't do maybe more than 3 not great ones in a row. But now I can do more than 10. And this is over the course of 3-4 days. The reason is, how I started training myself was, I did the 3 that I could do, or 4, whatever it was, and then I would stop. And I wait a few seconds, get in a few second rest time. Then I'd go back, I'd do a few more. Rest, go back, do a few more. And I did it until I was exhausted. Then I stopped and moved on. The next day I did the same thing, but when I did the same thing, I could do more. I could do more with each set. And then the next day, it increased again and again and again and again. And now I can do 60. I can do almost 20. It depends. It depends how tired I am and what exercises I did before, probably. But I'd say between 10 and 20 I can do in one set, and then take a break and keep going. So I'm expecting that to be able to increase and my form to improve, because my strength is improving in that direction. My muscles, not just my strength, but my muscles are getting used to moving in that way. And certain muscles that maybe weren't used to moving quite as much are getting moved as well. That's definitely another factor depending on how you're exercising your muscles. So there's really a lot to consider with doing something new. And you can do it. Just start small and you will advance quicker than you think. Don't get discouraged. You can do it. With that, I'm going to say thank you for listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'd like to ask that you please remember to subscribe to the show and write us a nice review. It really helps us out. Also, if you can please follow us on Facebook and Twitter, I'd really, really appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think of the show, anything you want to talk about, any questions that you have. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
You've been listening to the GSMC Fitness Podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Google Play, and any app where you listen to podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of the shows from the GSMC Podcast Network. From movies to music, from sports to entertainment, from business news to weird news, we cover it all. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook and listen to these podcasts on YouTube. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's podcast.